All right, and so this morning we have Miss Carolyn Binkley with the Wilson County FCE clubs, and she is going to be presenting on how to make a zipper pouch. I'm really excited to learn how to make one. So whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and start.
Okay. First of all, of course, in your instructions were the things to cut. And so what I have here is you were to cut 2 pieces of batting, the size of a 6x9, and those were going to be the front and the back. Then you were going to cut your strips, and the strips can be of, pull this down a little bit, can be of multiple strips, or it can be one solid piece of fabric. These were some fabric. I think these were like fat quarters I had got or something like that. And then I just cut them in the stuff. It usually takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 strips to do this size, but you can make this any size you want to. And of course, this is what we're going to be making and the instructions. And if we have time, we'll go over making the butterfly. And then you can tell I don't hand embroidery too much because his little antennaes are not very straight and they're curvy, but who knows, maybe the real things are that too. And then of course the back would be just solid. You're using you're using the same fabrics. If you got it, you can use all different fabrics. If you've got it, it's just strictly up to you. But this is what we will have at the end of the class in that. So once you get all of your pieces, what I did is the pieces that I wanted on this side, I pinned them to each side so I would have an idea and then to arrange them. Then you're going to have your little tabs, which are going to go on each end of your zipper, and it makes the zipper look prettier. And you don't have, sometimes if I've done one and doesn't have these, the one end looks a little squirrely, so I like doing these on there, but you'll have those cut out. And then I have my 2 pieces of my lining to go in there too. So once you've got all of that, and of course these are my 2 little things to make my butterfly, then we'll be ready to get started. And the first thing we do is we're going to make our sides in that before we put the zipper on. So I am going to switch my camera to go over to the sewing machine and let you watch me do some sewing. So I'm going to switch over. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our first piece of batting, and let me push this the way where you can see this. We're going to take one of the strips and we're going to put it on the end, right side up, matching the outside edge of that and here and here. If it goes over a little bit, that's all right, because we can cut it off. If you're at home and you just got strips and you don't want to try to cut them individually, you can go ahead and use them and then cut the extra off later in that. But we're going to lay the first one face up. Then the next one that we're going to do, we're going to put it on face down, meeting the right raw edge. Let me get my finger out of here. We're going to be meeting the right full edge, because you may have other fabric sticking out here depending on the width of your strip, and you may have less. But always remember, the seam you want to match is the one that's on the inside. And then I am using a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put this down. make sure I keep my fingers out of the way so you can see. And then I'm going to start sewing. And I really don't do off the back because we're not going to be handling this to the point that the seams would come undone. Then we're going to take and pull it over. Pressing is very important because if you don't press, you could have a little bump in it when you do the next one, and it doesn't make it look as good. Plus, it makes it sort of be uneven. So I'm not gonna switch camera, but I'm gonna go over here real quick and press it. And you don't have to worry about which way to press it, because there's only one way you can press it with the way you're doing this. Then I'm gonna come up with my next one, and I'm gonna match this because this actually covers all of them. And again, I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch seam. And underneath piece of thread caught, so it's trying to pull it up. And actually, I am going to switch my camera so you can see what I'm doing. So here I've got this next one on, so I'm going to pull it and pull it over. I like to sort of finger press a little bit and then go, and then I'm going to press this down flat. It just makes you have a nicer surface and not a chance of getting bubbles or things, because you don't want to have an overlap in the seam area. Okay, I'm going to go back. I just wanted you to see what I am doing. So I'm going to go back over here. And I really don't want two lights necessarily together. I like to do a breakup. So I'm going to do something like this. And then I'm going to put right sides to right sides. And stitch my 1/4 inch seam in. These make nice little gifts for people. If you have an embroidery machine, it's really nice. You can actually, after you put this on, you can go and do embroider their name or happy birthday or something like that, if you want to go even further with it. It looks like I may need one more strip. And then I may not. Now, if any of you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Now, I am using 100% cotton batting. It's just what I prefer. But if you need to 80/20, it's 80% cotton, 20% polyester. If you're going to do any kind of hand quilting, going through all the layers, you don't want 100% cotton, because I had tried it. Another lady told me that she had tried to do it, couldn't do it, so I tried it to make sure. And let's see. Yeah, I got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Let me get my stash here. Always bring extra stash because you never know when you're going to need it. And let's see. I don't have this one on there. So I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to, this is just a strip, a strip of the fabric that I had left. And in this case, this is where I was like telling you, you can do, take your pieces, and I'm gonna match this right here. Feel where it starts so I know where to start my sewing. I'm gonna switch the camera. So I just use this big piece of the fabric, and it looks like I joined the wrong thing. I did a boo-boo. So this is where, in this case, I am just going to, because it takes longer to take the stitches out than it does just to. So I don't care how long you have sewn or how good you are, you're always going to take and make boo-boos. And that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here and put this on the right one to go. And I can take that other out in a few minutes. There. And this piece has the selvage on it, and I don't want to get the selvage in it, so I'm going to pull it up above where the selvage edge is to start sewing. Sorry about the switching, but I'm here by myself and so now I'm gonna lay this out this way, and I'm gonna iron this flat. So now I have everything covered. So I'm going to come over here. Now let's turn it around a little bit. And over here. I don't know if you all use rotary cutters or not, but you always, if you don't have one that automatically shuts, make sure when you're through that you shut it, because those blades are very sharp and they can cut you very quick, and I think it even hurts worse than a paper cut. So, and I have known people that have almost cut the tip of their finger off, so you have to be real careful when you're using a rotary cutter. Take a little small ruler here, and I'm going to match. Let's see if y'all can see me. I'm gonna match up where my batting is. And then I'm gonna cut. Open it first. And I'm gonna cut it straight for this. Then I'm gonna come to this. And cut that off. And then I'm gonna cut this other little end off. And then there, and in this case, my top edge here is not real straight. So I'm gonna go back to where the batting is, and my batting is straighter than my top. And I'm going to straighten that bottom up. Because whatever you do with the next one, you can use this one to make sure they're both the same size. It's in there. And you have your one side. Now I'm going to go now, and I will, you can watch, and I'm going to go ahead and get my other side done so we can start doing the rest of the stuff in that. I'll just take my things over here and see what I need. And there's no rhyme or reason of what you start with, where you put stuff. So again, the first one goes face up. The next one is going to go right side down on the right raw edges, because that's the edge you're going to be sewing on. And one of those nice things you get and you sew, and you realize that you didn't have any thread in it. Does that not happen to anybody? Or you get to the end of your bobbin and then you're sewing, and then when you take it off, you realize that you were out of bobbin thread. A lot of the machines are supposed to tell you, but after they get older, they have a tendency not to let you know anymore. They forget like we do. Take this and fold it over, and I'm going to press it. I haven't figured out, I don't think Windows would let me use both of my cameras at the same time, so I wish I could figure out a way to do it. But and when you're working on this, sometimes your fabric has a tendency to want to slide. If you do, and when you're working on batting, if you have what they call a walking foot, that will help, because the foot itself has feed dogs on the foot. So when you put it down, the feed dogs are working together, pulling at the same time. The one on the bottom is pulling at the same time the ones on the top are pulling, and it keeps that from sliding in that too. So it's not necessary, but if you do a lot of stuff and a lot of things on batting, or even doing a little bit of your own thing with the thread and stuff, they make it really nice to work with. And depending on what kind of machine, you may have one that just does a straight or zigzagging. Some of the companies have what they call an adjustable or removable, and they have different feet that go on it for you to use for different things that you're doing. And yay, it's going to work. Don't have to add another one on here. So now, I'm pressing this one. And then we're going to check and go over to the cutting and even it up. I'm going to put my first piece on top of this other piece. And see, I got one just a hair bit longer. And that's not unusual because your batting sometimes will spread because it is a cotton type fabric, but just even it up. And there you go. Like that. So now we have our two pieces. So we're ready to start putting on our zipper. Yeah, that's afterwards. That's the next step here. Okay. So you're going to take your two pieces of your zipper, your end pieces, and we're going to first on one of the short, on one of the short ends, which is the 2.5, because it's 2.5, I think, by 3. We're going to turn this over like a 1/4 inch and press it. And we're going to do that on both of these. Then we're going to take and fold in two wrong sides together to make a long tube. And then we're going to press that so it stays like we need it to be. Okay. Now that we have these two, we're going to go back to the sewing machine. And it doesn't really make which way you turn it because it will be cut off and sewn in with the rest of them. But you've got your zipper. And then what you want to do is you want to place this fabric in there. Yeah, just insert it to your sandwich in your zipper. And you want to put it where your little folded area is right next to where the catch is on your zipper here. And then you're going to take this over to the sewing machine. And you don't have to do a 1/4 of an inch, just do it close to it. And hopefully this is going to run over. It's not. So this will be the time. Sometimes your feet will run over them, sometimes they won't. I'm going to change to my zipper foot. Now all of my feet are snap-on, and this one I like because it's sort of like the old time one that you did the screw and you moved it back and forth. So depending on which end you put it on is which side that you're going to be sewing on. So in this case, I'm going to be sewing on the left-hand side, so I want the straight left-hand side over here. And then I'm going to go back into here. And if you need to pin, that is strictly a preference. If you're used to sewing without pinning, then fine. If not, you pin. And then we're going to sew across to put that on. We're going to do the same thing on this one. And you want to have your zipper pull to where it's this way so you don't hit it. And then we're going to wrap this. And you want to try to keep it where it's close in and straight. And again, sometimes it is good to pin. And I use the little wonder clips to hold it so it will stay straight and keep that little tab in there. And then I'm going to sew this one. So this is what you have. You have a tab on each end of the zipper in that after you sew it on. I'll go back over here. And I'm going to make sure I'm doing it just like you said. All right, you want to trim the extra that is going this way. So this time you would most likely want to use your scissors. I didn't realize I had them. And again, with scissors, it's very important that the ones you use for sewing are used only for sewing, not for cut paper, kind of separate one. So I'm just going to take this and run this down the side and clip off the extra width that I have on these. The length right now is not going to make any difference because you'll be cutting that off at a later date. So now we have our zippers with the pull, with the things on the end for when we're sewing this stuff together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our pieces and we're going to take and we're going to turn the zipper over to where the right side of the zipper, the one with the pull, is going to be down. And then we're going to match And actually with this one, you really want to have some of your stuff. So in this particular case, I have too long of a zipper just to use it as it is. So what I'm gonna do, and this was good, this happened, this just shows you what you can do. Because sometimes you won't have just the right zipper, but you have one that will match and that, because a lot of times when I'm doing things, because I sometimes don't want that metal piece in there. And just while I get this picked out, do you all have any idea what amphibious animal is most related to sewing? In case you don't, it's the frog because it goes rip it, rip it, rip it. All right. So I'm going to put this one in a little bit above where the single lines will go and figure where this one is. And then I'm going to take this piece and lay it up in here where it's about the same as what it is on the other end. And in this case, I'm going to tap this down so it doesn't move on me. And I'm about a half an inch in. So I'm going to look over here and come up half an inch in and then put my other piece back on here. Because once you have sewn over the zipper, you have made a new stop. It's not going to go past that. And if you're doing it and cutting it out prior, you want to go to your machine and do a zigzag stitch over the teeth so that it makes a buffer. So when you do so on there, you're not going to lose your zipper come apart. Because I'm not real good at getting them zipped back together like that. So I'm going to go over here real quick and sew this back on this. Now, what I am going to do on this is I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to take my scissors. And normally I would use a different pair of scissors, and I am going to cut this off to where it's closer to where my seam was and put it back up because that would be too bulky when you do this. So again, we're taking our top piece. We're putting our zipper face down on the edge and making sure we're about the same distance apart. And when I do zippers, I usually either pin or do some clips on it just to hold it in a couple places so it doesn't move on me. There's times that you can go without and times that you need to go. So we're going to go back over to the sewing machine. And what you want to do is you want to get close to your zipper. Now, I like to, and I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, I like to unzip this a little bit because then when I'm starting on this side, I don't have that big bulky zipper, so you can get close to the edge. And then as I split, I'm up. Back And this way, when you go past that buckle, you're not, and then you can always take it and pull it back up. Okay, so you have now got your first zipper on here, and of course, when it goes back, it will turn back and your teeth will be. You can get as close as you want as long as you don't get in the teeth. If you want to see a little bit of your zipper too, then you can, like I did on here, I come a little further over than that. But now what you're going to do after you've done this one, you're going to take one of your pieces of your lining and you're going to put it over, and you're going to match the raw edges at the top and the edges on the side. And actually what I should have done is let this open a little bit. And start. And just remember, if you have a one-way pattern in your fabric, to make sure that you're pinning it on there so when it flips over, the right side is up, or you don't have your people upside down or whatever the design is upside down. And then we're going to take and do the same thing with this. When you get close to that, then you might want to hold it either with a stiletto and not necessarily use your finger like I'm doing, but so now when you, well, look at me. I think I sewed it on the wrong side. I did. You're not supposed to do this if you're teaching, but take the seam out. And what I'm doing is actually going about every 3 or 4 stitches and cutting the thread with my seam ripper. I used to go stitch by stitch to do it, and found out there was a lot easier way to do it. Just be careful that you're not going to clip a strip of string in your fabric. And then sometimes I'll go. And then what you can do is go to the other side. I can't remember which one is which. It's the bottom one. Sometimes I'll just start it and pull it a little bit, and then You don't want to pull too hard because you don't want to rip your fabric, but sometimes you can tug on it and you'll get quite a bit to release, and other times you may have to do it a couple times shorter to get it to pick up. And sorry about this. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Can you make the bag any size you want to? Can you make it a lot larger if you wanted to?
What you're supposed to do is to bring your zipper up where the right side is showing, and then okay, what's going on here? Oh no, actually, I think I had it right. Yep, I did. I'll put this back on here. Because it says turn so directly on the previous stitching. I know. All right. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to take and put this back in and press across where you've just sewed. This is also the time that, of course, when this is sewn together, this isn't going to really come up because I didn't do it on this one, but you can top stitch across here. If you wanted to do that, this would be the time. And all that does is just make sure that that stays down, and you can do a little extra to it and that. So now we're going to go back over to the sewing machine. We're going to take our other side, our right side, and we are going to lay it on top of the zipper, matching up the sides and the top, just like we did before. There's some pinning here to make sure it stays put. And I'm going to stitch this. And this is where, when you're sewing, you put the needle down, you can zip your zipper back up where you're not having that bump to have to deal with. So now you have your other top on top of that one. And then we're going to put our backing. This wrong. And we're going to take our other piece of batting, stick it over top of this. Just want to make sure so I didn't have to get it right the first time. Pinning this on here. Pull my zipper foot down a little bit. And I'm going to start stitching. Set my zipper back up. Okay. Okay, I actually should have, I got that one on right. This one actually should have been on the other side of the zipper. So when you open this up, you had a smooth side on both sides. But I'm not going to take it out because I know we don't have necessarily have the time to do this. But do make sure that when you're doing it, that you do it the right way. So then what you're going to do is you're going to put the right sides together. And you want to sort of put, let's see, let me which camera I'm on. We're going to take what we have here, put your right sides together, and match your ends in here. And it's going to have a little bit of bulk, so if you do your seam, you're going to be sewing on this tab. So that's what's going to be smushed instead of the zipper like it would be if you were just sewing with a zipper on there. So we're going to take this. Now, this is very important before you start doing this, to unzip your zipper. Because if you don't, you won't be able to turn it right side out. And you have to really fight to get it. And try to get it. I'm doing it, but it takes a while. And you do want to make sure that they're even. And you might want to take with this and use more of a half-inch allowance, just to make sure you get everything caught. And that's how I pinned it here. So I got it pinned and the zipper is pressed up on each side. So now I'm going to go back over to the sewing machine. And I'm going to go back. And this time I'm not going to use my 1/4-inch foot. I'm going to use my regular foot. So I can get a bigger seam. And then I'm going to start, and what I'm going to do is use the side of my foot to run along the raw edge of the fabric. You may want to back stitch here, just to get a little bit more reinforcement. You get over the hump sometimes takes a little effort in there, and so. That is not right. After thinking after I did this, you don't see raw inside. Some bags do, but this is not supposed to. what we're going to do is to take the two fronts, put them together. And the two linings will be together. What I'm doing is I'm putting the two I'm putting the two fronts together, right side together, and pinning them, and then doing the same thing with the lining. And it's saying to, it would be like this, it would be like this one instead of another, and you're going to press, push this down where the tab, let me see where it says. You're gonna press, you're gonna fold these, make both of the things go toward the lining side. So that's why when it turns and it's over, it'll lay flat. So definitely need to put something there to hold that one. And then come back to this one. And make the pucker that you might say go this way. This way. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave an opening in the lining side. You can put it either on the side or on the bottom. A lot of times I will, in this case, I'm going to put it in the bottom. So you want to leave about a 2 or 3 or 4 inch opening in here. And then again, I am going to go ahead and do the heavier or the 1/2 inch seam allowance because I want it when we get down in here to be stronger. So I'm going to start sewing, and you want to, if your machine does a tap down stitch, you don't need to do a backwards, but if it doesn't, then you always want a back stitch to reinforce it. And I just knock over the camera so y'all can still see. And then sew to the edge. Turn it. And when I get to here, you're going to have to slow down a little bit because you've got a little more bulk. You want to go slower because you're going to be hitting it. You don't want to break a needle. And if you need to mark a half an inch on each side of each corner to know where to stop. You can do that too. After a while, you sort of get used to which foot you're using where it needs to stop, and you don't do that anymore, but I do that on occasion. Go back around here. And it's good sometimes to mark where you want to stop, because I have gone and forgot that that was the side that the opening was to be in, and I left. I just sewed it right up. So then we're going to sew that part, and this time I will back in that because it doesn't do the other. And then we are through doing it. Back over here. Okay. Before we turn it right side out, we're going to clip our sides here so they're even. They're single. And we want to take each corner. And let me see, I think I get too close, you don't really see it. You want to cut the corner out, but you don't want to cut into the stitch. When you use a line thread, you can hardly see it. But you want to do that, that'll give you better corners. Because you won't have all that excess in there to have to try to push up. And then clean off any threads or anything that's on here or anything you need to cut. Especially using a line it will show through in that. And you're going to find your hole, which is right down here. And I'm going to do it up, and I'm actually, what I gotta do too is to unzip my zipper. Finish and unzip my zipper. Gotta see which side it is. Because then you're going to go and you're going to push this through. And I found starting in a corner instead of in the middle like I used to ends up being a lot easier than I thought. This side too. You can go in, brace this up a little bit. You can go in. And I have a whole crochet, or I use my crochet hooks at home, but this was my grandmother's, and I got in there and try to push out my corners as much as I can without poking through. And there's all kinds of things out there. And then doing the same thing with your lining. then once you do, when you're finished, you're gonna go and turn in the edges where the seam would have been if you saw all the way around. You just flip them inside, and we'll put a thing in there. Then we're gonna go back to the sewing machine. And I'm just gonna sew the hole closed. You can hand close it if you want to. You're just gonna close it close to the edge. But I like stitching it because that way hand stitches sometimes can break and you'll get a hole and then you'll have stuff missing, but it will be in the other side of the bag. And this is just a little stronger. It doesn't really take up any extra space. And you've got your hole closed. And then you're going to push your lining down in there. Of course, mine is not going to look just right because I sewed it wrong. You can take your little thing and push out your corner where your little things are, which I don't have one on this side. And stick it down in there. And then zip it up. And you got your bag. And that in there.
Beautiful.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Can you make it a lot bigger if you wanted to?
Let's see, somebody's talking, but I can't hear real loud.
I said, can you make it bigger, a lot bigger?
Yes, you can go ahead and make it as big as you want it. You know, just cut the size that you want. You're using, you know, just decide how big you want it, whether you want to do it like this or you want to put regular fabric on it. The bigger you get it, if you don't do the stitch as you go, like saying, then you would want to, before you started putting your zipper and everything on it, you would want to, you know, do some lines or something to hold the batting to the top. And that. And then, I mean, you could even put little handles up here. If you wanted to add handles, you could sew them on the outside. You know, you could do it after you did this to put your handle where you want it and stitch it down. And that way you could put handles on it. And that. You can put your handles on it if you want to put handles on it. Before you put your zipper on there, because you can lay your handles on your top, and then when you put the zipper is going to go over top of them. So then when you turn it right side out, that the handles will come out the seam between the zipper and the material and come straight up. So it can be done either way. And that, but yes, you make this any size that you want. Some of them, now you don't use the little side pieces, but sometimes they want their zipper down further. And I have a picture. This one is actually called a zipper pouch for a notebook cover. But you don't have to use it as a notebook thing. But this one has the zipper down further. It's not at the top, it's in the side. And what you do is you just bring your fabric over further before you stitch your things to get your zipper to be down here. Okay. In this. This is one where they put their notebook inside of it and then zip it up. but it's done on the same principle as what this one was. And that, so there's a lot of these that are free online. Go to your different sewing machine people like Baby Life, Brother, Vikings, any of those, and they usually offer free projects. Now they're going to gear some of the stitches or something to their machine, but it's basically the same thing. It's just you're using the stitches that are on your machine instead of the ones that are on theirs. But they have it, push it and go in your Google and say make zipper pouches or whatever, and there's going to be all kinds of that YouTube. Some of them let you print the pattern, some of them you just have to watch them. Now, as far as our butterfly goes, if you're interested in learning how to do the butterfly, let me find my 2 pieces of well, here we go. And you have these instructions on your on the paper that you will get for your instructions. And I know it took me a little while to figure it out, but you're gonna first start and put your fabrics right side together and sew around, leaving a little hole, sewing it all the way around and leaving a little hole to turn it right side out before you get started and everything. So I'm gonna go over to the machine and I'll switch over to the camera. Okay, we've got a little over 30 minutes, so we're doing good. Okay. Now this one I am gonna do 1/4 inch. So I am gonna put my 1/4 inch foot back on. That hole wouldn't pull. I'm gonna put that back. But before I do that, I am just about ready to run out of bobbin. And I should have had a second one, and I do. I have one in here that will have enough on there. You just want to use coordinating threads, or you can use a lighter thread, and the only time you might want to change your thread color would be if you're top stitching and you want it to match better than for what you're constructing it with. So we're going to start on the ends and come down to the ends, and if you want to do that, there we go. I have a button on this one that it will sew by itself. I don't even have to use foot control. But I don't like using it, and it's real close to the other buttons, and I press it sometimes. And I'm gonna stop that right there. And now that I've sewn, and I've got my little hole for turning. But again, I want to go in, cut across the corners, just above them, where the stitches are. So I kind of have the book in the corners. And then I'm going to stick the finger through and sort of just start pushing the fabric through with my thumb. And it'll start coming out, and then you can do it until you can get it. And again, I go use the thing to push my corners out. Okay, and then it tells you to go a top stitch all the way around it. So I'm going to go back and do that. I'm not going to switch cameras because I'll be right back. Okay. Top stitched it, that closed my hole. Then you decide which side you want to be your butterfly. You're only going to see a little bit of the side that's not on the outside to show. I use the lighter side because I was putting it on the darker where I didn't think my butterfly would show up as pretty with this on the side. So I'm using this side as my right side. So what you're doing is you're going to take this and you're going to have it with your 3.5 inch side here and your 4.5 inch side here, and you're going to fold it in half and press. And then you're going to fold it again and press it. So you're going to have like 4 sections. Okay. Okay, it says open the fabric on the right side. So we've got the fabric on the right side. Bring the top right corner to the center. So we're going to bring this one to the center. And press it flat. And then it says bring the right side back over the top. And this is where I always got confused on how you did it. Okay, we're like this, okay. Oh. top right corner. Maybe it's because I did the wrong corner. Like I said, I had to go with this, and y'all bear with me when you get something to do. So it was like this. I'm sorry, ladies, this was very confusing for me with the instructions. They don't give really good ones. Oh, here we go. All right, so now right here, I'm gonna take this and put it this way. But I think I have got the, no, it said to put the right. You're gonna bring this back over where it meets. No. Yes. Okay, here we go. Where this is down, it looks this way. You're gonna come over. Well, you're supposed to see that side, so it's. Well, I thought I had them. This might be something, we'll keep going. I know this is, I should have had this prepared more. I didn't remember it being this difficult to do. Open the fabric on the right side. So we're on the right side. Bring the corner to the center. So this is going to go. Fabric on the right side. Bring the top right corner to the center. Bring the right side back. Carolyn, if you got your instructions.
Yes, I do, and I'm having a hard time following it.
It doesn't really tell you, and I should have got everything to go before I start making the butterfly. Because it doesn't make sense where it says bring the right side back over on top. So unless we turn it over.
But you've got to have it folded, don't you?
Yeah.
See, you're folding in half and half again. And I'm trying to.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense how she's got it folded. So if this was folded this way, it will fold it this way. Because if you fold it over the way, because you don't have that piece on the bottom. Because you're checking all the sides. Okay, like this. This is folded here. You've got to have. Well, if you want to put a butterfly on it, you may have to make, because they're not plain, and I had this problem the last time. Because it says you're repeating the side. So they don't actually, they have it folded. And then they brought this to the half. Put the center of that is in. Cut this down. You're bringing this back over to the center. Center here. Bring the right side back over the squash. Well, ladies, I'm very sorry. Let me see how this is done here. Because they're actually still showing it, but it says open the fabric on the right side. Folds up there. Never had it, but
I'm trying with a piece of paper and I'm not having much.
yeah, it's like they still have it folded. They still have it folded. I can't tell. I guess one folds down, one folds up. And then if you come down to half, it says bring the right side of the back over the top. Okay. So if I come down, that ain't right.
Thank you, Carolyn. I'm gonna leave right now. I've got to go to get ready and go to the extension office for the last.
That's okay, and I apologize for this. What I'm trying to do is do another recording when I actually do figure it out and then send it out to y'all. So we know what we're doing.
Well, thank you for that.
I do apologize. I thought it would come back to me and I did not prepare like I should have for the butterfly
Thank you.
in that, so I do apologize.
No problem, Carolyn.
You know, things go in there, not really. This is what I said. Some of the instructions that they give are not really good. They figure you know how to do this origami stuff, and you don't, because they're showing.
I think when we're not pressed for time, we'll be able to figure it out easier.
Yeah, and I did. You know, like I said, when I first did it, it took me a while, and all of a sudden it clicked, and you know, I had it. And then this is just not.
And you know, as soon as you go off the air, it'll come to you.
I think I just figured it out. Maybe. I'm looking more like what I'm supposed to. Okay. You leave it in half the long this way. And then you're bringing this right side over. Okay. This is the wrong side.
But they've got you folding it twice.
Yeah.
So which way do you have in that row, the top row there where you've got, you know, the folding? Which way are you folding, to the right or to the left?
Okay, when you do that, you fold it with the short side up. You're folding, you got the right side up and you're folding, and that's what I did wrong. You're
Right.
folding that down, but then it shows,
But then you've got to fold it again, it says.
yeah, and both times it's showing the same.
But I don't know what, do you fold to the right or do you fold to the left?
Okay.
Where it says fold again and fold in half again and press.
Mhm.
So are you going to the right or are you going to the left?
I think you're going to the left because the picture looks like on the right side, it may be the fold. When it's folded and the raw edges are on the left-hand side and the bottom. So I'm thinking that's the way it was folded.
So your final fold then is to the top. When you go down to step 6, the first picture, you have your fold at your top, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you're coming over. Of course, I'm working with a piece of paper and it's not giving.
Right. So
Let me.
I'm looking at it like this. Then it's saying, bring the right side back over on top of the squash food. Okay. That's what I'm doing. Because it says it should be over this. It just doesn't. No, that's not even that. Okay, so if I got this, got to be doing this. Nope. It don't make any sense at all. Because you gotta have. this, and it looks like that. Let's bring the right side back over the top.
Just as a reminder, we have about 5 minutes until this particular session ends.
Okay, well, I think we will, just close it. Okay, not close it. I won't change it. I'm gonna leave it open. And I'm gonna sit here and play with this and see if I can figure out a better way of doing this. And this may be one of those videos I make over and send it in to be put on the website like I had to last year.
I'll get this figured out, Carolyn, no problem.
Yeah, everybody's been on to us, so it gave the people forward. I even was trying to figure out how in the world I did with this other one. I may have to take it off and see how it's going. That's terrible. Because pretty much, it just doesn't make any sense. So this. Go to this
So would you like me to go ahead and stop recording?
Yeah, you can do that, and then whenever she gets ready to leave, she can leave, and I'll just leave it on, because I'm the one that would end it, so I'm just gonna leave it here.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.